What's up, everybody? Welcome into MLB DFS Live for Wednesday, August 5th. I am your host, Ben Husser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, I've gotten really unlucky. I know you've been probably the most unlucky person that I know recently, but I've gotten really unlucky the last two nights. So I got the hoodie on. I don't think you can see my camera because of the way that
I
I'm
can't.
recording this, but I've got the hoodie on. I'm ready for the narrative game tonight. I'm angry. I'm coming for blood tonight. So I'm excited to get to the slate. As always, shout out to our sponsors, Superdraft. You can head over to superdraft.io and sign up using the promo code KARMA. Gets you a $10 deposit bonus. It's a new way to play fantasy. There's no salary cap. You can roster whoever you want. The lower level guys have a higher multiplier. So, but really, sometimes what I've noticed is you can get these cores guys pretty decent multipliers. Like last night, a couple of the course guys had like 1.5, 1.6x multipliers, like just easy plays, honestly, for me on a course slate. So that adds an interesting dynamic to it. And then anytime, sometimes you can get some of the pitchers that we like for tournaments at a 2x multiplier, which is an easy play for me as well, even though they're a little bit more risky. The fact that you can get double points, I think, is a pretty easy move, especially in tournaments over there.
Yeah, Superdraft seems pretty legit. I don't know. I feel like every day I find someone that's like a really good play, and then they have like at least like a 1.6 multiplier, and I'm like, all right, lock them in.
Yeah, there's a lot of value over there, so it's good. Also check out our products, dfskarma.com. Under the shop today, Discord was on fire today, man. If you guys are not members, you guys are missing out. Discord was insane today. Our analytics guy Luke spitting out the fire gifts of Travis. Pretty good one of Sam too, but nothing's gonna. This gif of Travis is going to be just legendary in our Discord for years to
I
come.
I actually thought the one of Sam was very normal, and everyone was like laughing at it.
Yeah, no, it
I
was
just thought he
good.
was drinking a
Yeah,
glass of milk.
it it was normal. It was just funny because it's Sam. The one of Travis is just absolutely incredible.
Oh, that one's gold. Honestly, if you bought the weekly package, what is it, 15, like 14.99
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
week, just to watch that GIF for a week, well worth it. You don't even
yeah.
have to
It
play
it
for it.
honestly is
It's
worth it. It's super
definitely
good,
worth it.
amazing content. But we'll go ahead and get into the slate tonight. I like this slate. I think that there's a lot of ways that you can go in tournaments, but we're gonna start at pitching, then we'll move to stacks, and then positional plays before we wrap up. So starting at pitcher, there's two clear guys at the top today. It is Yu Darvish, Mike Clevenger. To me, if I can only pick one of them, it's Darvish. Darvish has been absolutely lights out. If you take the second half of last year and then this year into account, he really fixed his control down the stretch last season. I think he's only walked one batter this year, or maybe two. I know he's not walked a lot of guys, so that's carried over into this season. He's generated 18% swinging strikes this season. I mean, just absolutely nasty stuff. This Royals offense obviously is one that we've kind of been targeting. And if Kyle Hendricks is 75% owned last night, I know the wind was blowing in, but if he's 75% owned at pitcher on DraftKings, what is Yu Darvish? Like, how is he not going to be chalk? And I don't think he's going to be. I think most people are going to play Clevenger because he's a good bit cheaper. I don't think Clevenger's a bad play, but how I would look at it on FanDuel, they're essentially the same price. I'm picking Darvish. DraftKings, the savings do matter, especially on a course field slate. So I do think most people will go with Clevenger. It's not that Clevenger's been bad this year. He had a rough first inning in his first start and then really, really settled in after that. And then his second start was against the Twins, so we can't really take a ton from that, just given how good the Twins' offense is. He still got 12% swinging strike, struck out 24% of batters, so still has been decent. The Reds are a good offense in my opinion, but they don't have a ton of power. They don't have as much power as you would think. And I think that, the savings do come into effect. So I think Clevenger's probably the way to go on DK. But for tournaments and on FanDuel, I really like Darvish tonight.
Yeah, Darvish is by far my favorite pitcher. Another thing, even if he would struggle with control tonight, like just for some odd off reason, which I don't see happening, Kansas City is I think they have like 19 walks in 12 games or something. They rank like third last in the MLB, and the only two that rank below them have played like a combined 10 games or something. So, I mean, Kansas City's just going to go up there swinging anyway. They're not really going to walk. So it just gives Darvish that much more upside. I mean, outside of those two, like I feel like you're probably dropping down. Sean Mannia's there. He's pretty expensive, but gets an obvious matchup against the Rangers, who can't hit literally anybody. And then I know you want to talk about Stripling, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think Mania is probably going to be chalk on FanDuel. He's only 6,800 DraftKings. So he gets Bill Miller behind the plate. If you guys don't know, Bill Miller's the most pitcher-friendly umpire in the entire league. Luke said he gets like a 20% strikeout boost. This is the reason I played Kikuchi in his last start, was because Bill Miller was behind the plate. Well, Kikuchi had a big velo bump, which I liked, but Bill Miller was a big factor in that. And obviously, he got a lot of strikeouts. So it is a bonus that Manaea gets him. The Rangers aren't good against lefties, but it's just a tough sell at his price on DraftKings because he's only a few hundred less than Clevenger. Like, you would feel much better with Clevenger if you had to decide between those two. But for FanDuel, I do think he's in play. Um, in the mid tier, yeah. So I think that Julio Teheran and Sean Newcomb both are going to pick up some ownership on DraftKings. Newcomb's only 6K. The Blue Jays strike out a lot, but they have a ton of right-handed power, and they have a ton of guys that just can hit lefties really well. So I don't really see why he should be high owned. So if he's going to be, I'm going to be completely avoiding both of those guys. I think that Stripling's probably the best play in the mid tier. The Stripling's always been a good pitcher, right? The only thing that has been his issue has been pitch count, but that has not been a problem this year. He's got 92 and 86 pitches in his first two starts. The Padres have a lot of power, but they still strike out a lot against righties. So I think just if Stripling's going to be low owned, I have no issues playing him at his price. I don't mind Adrian Hauser either. I prefer Stripling, but like I said, if Newcomb's going to be chalk, I would rather play Hauser, even though he's more expensive. Um, I don't know, man. I might try and get to Darvish on DraftKings. I'm gonna have to look around. I don't know if it's possible. Like,
What,
so,
Darvish and Clevenger?
well, I think you could do that, but just
Or
playing
just
Darvish
Darvish
over
over
Clevenger. I don't
Clevenger?
know. Clevenger's gonna be so high on though. It's one of those situations where you probably just don't want to fade him in cash. But I'll have to mess around with stuff after the stream. But yeah, Stripling's my favorite mid tier guy. I'm not playing Sean Newcomb. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if he's chalk. I think Sean Newcomb is bad chalk, so I'm not playing him. If he's going to be high owned, I'll have to wait till Luke gives us ownership projections closer to lock. But if I see double digits on Newcomb, that is not happening for me. Is there anyone else you want to talk about? I know we got to talk about this guy for the Reds, but I don't really think any of these other guys jump off. I think Garrett Richards can always be used in tournaments. Like, I actually think he's a good pitcher. Obviously a tough matchup, but I do think you could maybe look at him in GPPs.
Yeah, I think outside of the kid for the Reds, I think Randy Dobnak is like a decent play. I don't really hate him there, just because I didn't like him coming out of the minors just because he was so mediocre and he didn't really project well to a great MLB pitcher, obviously. But since joining the Twins, like his xFIP's under 4. He doesn't have like great strikeout stuff, but it's not like it's that bad. And in his last start, he threw 94 pitches. So it looks like he's going to at least go 5+ innings. And I mean, Pittsburgh is an offense that I'm not even slightly scared to throw against. And at what I believe is 7,200. I don't know. I just feel like I'm fine taking a shot on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would just play Stripling in that situation, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer Stripling, but if you're looking at, I guess Stripling probably isn't going to have that much ownership.
I don't know. I have to look at it more. Dominiac's probably pretty cheap on FanDuel, so it might be better there. Yeah. So a couple people in chat are asking about Antone. So yeah, I mean, this is my philosophy. I like to spend down at SP2. Like, in years past, I've taken just really cheap guys in cash and just not cared because they're really cheap. This is one of those situations. I played Tommy Malone in cash games this year at 4K, right? Like,
Like, I
anyone,
know.
yeah, And that didn't work out, but the principle of the play is still fine, I think.
No, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
You can use any breathing human at 4,000 on DraftKings, I think, at SP2, especially in tournaments. But I debated using Antone and Cash earlier. I don't think I'm gonna do it because I don't think you need to, but I don't think he's a bad play. Like, I'm not scared of this Indians offense. And what can he do to hurt you at 4K, right? You're really hoping for like 10 points.
Yeah, no, I like him. I think he's a good play. I would be willing to bet right now. I haven't made my lineups yet, but I would be willing to bet I have at least one lineup with him in it. It's just if you use him, it's pretty easy to get basically anything you want. So I find it hard not to, if you're making multiple lineups, not to at least look his way.
Yeah, so if you're one of the people like you want to play Newcomb on DraftKings, I would just save 2,000 and play Antone. Like, I don't think you're getting. Newcomb was really good in the minors, dude. Like, really good. But I don't love this spot. Like, there's so many guys that can hit lefties well in the Blue Jays. I just don't think it's that good of a spot, even though they strike out a lot. So I would just probably save 2,000 and play him if you're going to play Newcomb. Tony in chat says he's getting Antone's getting 7 strikeouts tonight.
I'll bet against that.
I would probably have to take the under there. I don't think the Indians' offense is good, but it kind of feels like they're due for a game, doesn't it?
Well, the problem with Antone is, so he didn't have great strikeout stuff coming out of the minors. And if you look, I think in his first game, his strikeout rate sat at like, I think it was like 27%. I don't have the number like right off the top of my head. His swinging strike rate was about 5%. So if you like one of those two is going to have to change. You can't strike out 27% with a swinging strike of literally 5%. It's not like those numbers aren't even close to each other. I'm assuming they're both going to get closer. The swinging strike rate will creep up probably towards like 8. I would expect. But his strikeout rate is going to drop down to probably at least like 20% over the course of the season. And I feel like that's even slightly high for the way he pitches.
Yeah. Someone asked about Dallas Keuchel in chat. I don't like Dallas Keuchel in DFS really ever, but that did. If you want someone else like in that mid tier, it would probably be Kyle Gibson for me. So he gets the same Bill Miller boost that Sean Manaea does. Kyle Gibson, I don't think is horrible, and he got really unlucky. Remember his first start when they had that error and it led to like 3 runs, dude?
Yeah,
or like 3 or 4 runs, man.
That was when the string of tough sledding. I think it was. That was the second bet that I made of the string of tough sledding there.
Yeah, that started the downfall, and it's just been
It's Kyle Gibson.
It's just been a descent ever since then. But yeah, I don't think he's that bad, honestly. So I think you can use Kyle Gibson. We'll move on to stacks. I'll let you start out here.
I mean, obviously Colorado. Let's be real. You're playing Colorado in cash if you can. If you can't, you're playing Minnesota because they're so ridiculously cheap, and Williams can't get left-handed batters out. So you're just going to play the lefties of Minnesota along with some Colorado guys. And that's more or less cash for you there. Moving to tournaments, my favorite is the Cubs, which seems weird because they have the second highest implied total on the slate. But with Colorado and Minnesota getting so much ownership, the Cubs are seemingly going to fall through the cracks a little bit. I'm sure their guys will get some ownership, but not nearly as much as they should. Outside of that, I mean, like that's by far my favorite stack. I can tell you now, I am almost going to guarantee that I will stack them tonight in at least one lineup. If Sean Newcomb is chalk, I'm just going to stack Toronto. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't. Like Newcomb can blow up at any time. And Toronto does come with a ton of power, as you talked about. Outside of that, though, there's not that much that I like. I'm honestly probably going to stack a little bit of the chalkier sides, or I'll go with something like San Francisco. They still get the cores boost, but they're not really going to have the ownership because John Gray is on the mound. So you still get cores without the 30% owned of guys like Charlie Blackmon. But I mean, for me, realistically, the Cubs make the most sense. And then if you're looking to get leverage in tournaments, the Toronto Blue Jays too.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think the Rockies are the clear top spot again. The Twins are going to be really high owned. So DraftKings specifically, the Twins are not an expensive stack. So I think they're probably going to be right there with the Rockies for highest owned. So I think they're a great cash game play. But if they're going to end up being that high owned, I probably will avoid them in tournaments. It's not a great ballpark. Obviously, Williams isn't good, but I just don't think they should be far and away like a chalky stack. So I do like the Cubs a good bit. I think the Astros are interesting against Robbie Ray. I know Robbie Ray can really strike guys out, but the Astros are so good against lefties, and we know Robbie Ray can walk guys. So I think the Astros would be right there. And I think that's really my favorite too, outside of the Rockies. Like the Giants, I think are a good one too, just because Gray's not like Gray will keep the masses away. Other than Brandon Belt, I don't think the Giant stack will be super high owned. Someone asked, do you like Stripling or McCullers? We should have mentioned this at the top. That's my bad. But Lance McCullers got scratched tonight. He will not be starting. He's starting tomorrow. I think the Astros are going to go with like a bullpen game, but I'll have to dig into that more when we get off the stream. But McCullers is not starting tonight. Do you have any like completely random stack? I think mine would probably be the Indians, just because like I said, they're due for a big game, and I do not think the Indians' offense is good. So this is not bias at all.
Yeah, weird. I would go with the White Sox just because it's the White Sox. Like they have the speed and power to get to literally anybody, and I do really like Hauser. I just believe that you more or less the White Sox have an offense that you can virtually always stack in tournaments.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are another good one that you mentioned. If Newcomb is chalk, it would be really good, especially for like if you're playing a big tournament with a lot of entries. The Blue Jays would be a good one for something like that. But we'll move on to the positional plays. Starting at catcher, my favorite two, Wilson Contreras. I wrote Wilson Contreras up in my article. Hits lefties really well, matches up really well with Bubich's pitch mix. And if you like, he's especially on FanDuel, he's really cheap. 3K flat on FanDuel. That's a really good play.
Man, yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be.
And sometimes you get the ownership discount because people don't like to play catchers on FanDuel because you don't have a distinct catcher spot. So I like Contreras a lot. If you need some savings, I played Maldonado last night. I'll probably play Maldonado again on DraftKings against a lefty. We'll hit down in the order, but he's really cheap, and he almost homered last night. He barreled the ball up really well towards the end of that game, so got a little bit unlucky. Maybe he'll hit one tonight.
Yeah, I like that. I think you can add Danny Jansen's only 3,300, and he hits left-handed pitching extremely well. And he hits seventh, so like it's not ninth like most catchers. And then I feel like Austin Nola is just a guy that never gets any ownership, but he's not a bad hitter, and you get him at catcher. So like he hit fifth in Seattle's lineup yesterday, and no one used him because they played Haney. So that was kind of like my tournament guy that I went to, and he dropped 17. Like he's actually not a bad hitter, and he's just always super cheap. I like him a lot more against lefties, but it's not like I'll completely avoid him. He's only 3,100. It's hard for him to really kill my lineup.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll let you start out at first base.
I feel like just Daniel Murphy. You know, you're gonna go there if you can. Brandon Belt is only 4,400. Murphy's now priced up at 5-1. I think for a while he was super cheap in cores, wasn't he? Like mid fours.
Yeah, even yesterday he was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I have no problems there. Outside of that, I mean, I don't absolutely love first. There's not many guys I'm really dying to get in my lineups. I think Rizzo, we talked about prior to coming on the pod. Rizzo isn't that bad against lefties, so if you want to get him, but I feel like I would play him more in a stack because he's 5,400. I would just drop down to Daniel Murphy if I was one-offing, or you could get leverage somewhere else. Josh Bell hits right-handed pitching extremely well, and he's been ice cold, so he'll get virtually no ownership. And then Jed Yorka is only 3,000. He's hitting fourth for Milwaukee, and it's not like Keuchel's that good. So I feel like you can go there if you want to just save at this position.
Yeah, it's probably Belt for me. DK. FanDuel, like I said, I'm probably playing Contreras in that spot. DraftKings, it's Belt for me in cash. I like Carlos Santana a little bit in tournaments. He hits sinkers really well. So I think he could have some success here. What's the deal with Mejia? Guy can't get it going. I don't know, man. He was like, I'm from Ohio, so I know he was a really big prospect for the Indians for a while. But yeah, he's really struggled. I would have to dig in a little bit more, like to him individually, to figure out if there's actually something wrong. But yeah, he has
Let
not
me
been good.
let me quick add one more. I added him late yesterday on Pod with Anthony. Jake Cronenworth. He homered last night. He gets
He did.
another matchup against a righty, and he's 2,600 hitting fifth. Use him if you want. He's a great tournament play. I don't understand why he's so cheap.
Yeah, that is pretty cheap. But I'm just gonna play Belt and Cash for sure. Second base. Second base is weird. I think you have Altuve at the top, which I don't mind. You could get like some cores here with McMahon, which I don't mind. But I think for cash games, you're probably gonna save here. So you have Cesar Hernandez leading off for the Indians. You have Luis Ariz for the Twins batting fifth. He's really cheap. I think you're probably going with one of those two guys. I'm not a fan of anyone else above those two for cheap guys outside of tournament plays. And then if you're spending up, I think you probably go Coors or Altuve.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Into your player pool, I think you can add Adam Frazier's leading off for Pittsburgh. I do like Dobnik, but it's not like he's untouchable, and Frazier's only 3,800. And then if you want to get weird, Nico Horner is 3,100. He only hits eighth, but it's a way to get like a cheaper guy in the Chicago Cubs stack for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I do want to mention, so who you said Jerko's batting fourth or fifth?
He is batting fourth, I believe.
And
Yeah,
then
fourth
is Ryan Healy leading off? Am I seeing this right?
for Minnesota or Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Let me pull it up quick.
I think he is.
Milwaukee's leadoff hitter is, if I could find them. Where's the M's? Where's the M's? There we go. Ryan Healy.
Yeah, like so these two, so Ryan Healy and Jed Jerko, these guys used to hit lefties really well. If you look at their numbers from like last season and this season, they're like horrible against lefties. So I don't know if they're still like sticking around off of like the legend that they once hit lefties really well. But like recently they have not been good against lefties. So if these guys are going to be popular cheap plays, I'm probably just going to avoid that. Are you sure McCullers is not starting today? Yes, he's starting tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Wait, it's
Today's
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so actually he might actually hold on, let me check because I
No,
saw
they
another
pulled
update.
him. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
but there
sure
was
they pulled
another
him.
update on him, so he actually might be starting.
Oh man.
I'll do some research on that. We will
At
head
least
to third base. Arenado's the top play for me here. So Webb has been reverse splits. This is a pretty small sample size, but he has been a reverse splits guy so far in the majors. So that is obviously a good sign for Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story. So Arenado's my favorite play there. And then you have Alex Bregman. Like in cash games, I think you're going with one of those two guys. You can definitely go cheaper in tournaments, but I'm mainly a cash game player, so that's probably the two guys that I'm focusing on right now.
yeah, I'll add Chris Bryant, and that is probably my third base pool unless I'm
Yeah,
using it
Chris
for a
Bryant
stack.
might actually be decently owned, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. Also, Lance McCullers is starting
Yeah,
tonight.
I'm just looking
Zach,
at it.
yeah, Zach Greinke moved from tomorrow to Friday, and Brandon Bilek starting on Thursday.
So why did they scratch him at first? I'm super confused on that.
I don't know. I didn't actually see him get scratched. I just heard people in our Discord saying it, so maybe they just didn't read it right. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But to answer your questions, you can use McCullers in tournaments. He looked really good in like the preseason, like those inter squad stuff, and then he had a game on ESPN. I don't remember who it was against, but right before the season started, he looked really good. He has not looked that good now. Like a couple of his pitches, he just hasn't been able to get swings and misses with. So I don't think he's a bad play in GPPs, but I don't have a ton of interest. I don't play enough lineups that I would get to McCullers. Like I'm only gonna play 2 lineups or so tonight, so I'm not gonna have any McCullers.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Shortstop, Trevor Story for sure for me. Outside of him, I do think Lindor is interesting. Fine, he hit a home run. I think it was yesterday, so he might be turning it around a little bit. So I don't mind him, but Story and Cash. I know you have to have a hot take at shortstop. I feel it coming.
I have no hot take. Javi Baez is my favorite. I mean, Trevor Story, obviously, but Javi Baez is my favorite. I like if you want a hot take, you can use J.P. Crawford or David Fletcher if either are leading off. I don't think that's overly hot, but
No,
that's basically what I got.
I think Polanco's definitely in play in all formats. 3,900 gets you some more Twins. He could probably see some decent ownership, so I don't mind looking at him. But yeah, I don't have. I think Horner is shortstop on DK, so you could use him there.
Let me add Bo Bichette. I've been trying all season to get him into lineups, and I have yet to use him. Tonight could be the night.
Yeah, someone in chat said Swanson. Swanson's been on fire. I think he had another big hit late in their game yesterday. They were already winning, but I think he had like a 2-run double or something. He's been hitting the ball really well.
I feel like I'm at the point where like I just see him as not being a very good hitter.
Yeah.
And then like every day I'm like, oh, he's gonna cool down because he's not that good at the plate. And then he just hasn't ever.
It's not long ago. He was one of the top prospects in baseball, like not long ago. So it's not crazy to think that, he's kind of.
Then he got traded for Shelby Miller, right?
Yeah, that was a bad trade. That was a great trade for Atlanta, but that was a bad trade. Who are you prioritizing for Minnesota for stacks for GPP? I think I would take. So if you're playing FanDuel, you can fit 4. I think you take the 3 outfielders: Kepler, Rosario, Nelson Cruz. Who would the 4th one be for you, Bales? I want to say.
Just the way that goes for me, it would be Polanco. Because I just don't want the guys in between. If you weren't taking like Nelson Cruz, I would be fine with like Jake Cave and Arise. But even then you have a pair in the middle that don't correlate together. So I don't know. I try to stick all of my guys together, but also for Minnesota, I would really like to get the left-handed batters.
Yeah, if you're stacking them in a tournament though, like you have to play Cruz. Like there's no way I'm making a Twins lineup that doesn't have Cruz in it in tournaments.
Yeah, I agree. It's much better of a stack on DraftKings where you can play 5 of them though.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we'll move the outfield and finish up here. So for DraftKings cash, I think you're looking at these cheap Twins guys. Rosario is right around 4K. Kepler's right around 4K. Jake Cave's sub 3K. I think you're looking at those 3 guys. The Coors guys are fine. I don't think the Coors outfielders are going to pick up as much ownership as guys like Story and Arenado. So for tournaments, just full stacking the Rockies, getting Blackman, David Dahl in there, I think that's going to be a pretty good move. Because I think most people are going to be looking at the Twins guys in cash games. For tournaments, I like Schwarber a good bit. People are going to avoid Rizzo and Schwarber because they're left-handed and they're in Cub stacks. I would not do that because they're not going to face Bubic for the whole game. So there's a good chance he can see a righty out of the bullpen. Schwarber still has a 220 ISO against lefties. So I still think he's a fine play regardless.
Yeah, I'm good on that. I'll add Lewis Robert. Seems like he's going overlooked tonight, finally. People kind of cooled off, but he is on absolute fire, still leading off. So I'll take my shots there. And then, as always, like Trent Grisham is always just a fantastic tournament play.
Yeah, I like Grisham. Tapia is 2,500 on FanDuel, so you could get some extra Rockies there. Oh man, Dave's on the Cave bomb tonight, dude. Dude, this is like the trifecta because you wrote Cave up. I told you I'm playing Jake Cave in cash, and now Dave says Cave's gonna bomb. This is the trifecta. So you guys watching this better play Jake Cave tonight because rarely does this happen. The man. Rarely does it happen to where we all agree on somebody. Couple of the guys, Kyle Tucker down in the order for the Astros, but Again, this is one of the best prospects in all of baseball, so you can always bet on him. Joe Adele, still really cheap on DraftKings. I think you can definitely play him. And then Franmil Reyes on FanDuel is like 2,400. That's really cheap for someone that could literally. Franmil Reyes could triple bomb, man. And I'm not saying he's going to, but he
Yeah,
could
he's
triple
got the
bomb.
power. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Franmil on FanDuel a good bit. But that about does it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bales, give me your home run call for tonight. Dave has already called out Jake Caves. You cannot take him.
Yeah, I'll go something a little more different. I'll go Danny Jansen.
Dude, are we going to do this thing again? So you took the other day we did a double catcher. You just
Are
took
you-
Danny Jansen. I'm taking Wilson Contreras. I will combat you at catcher once again.
Okay, but I need to get something because you're taking Wilson Contreras, and I'm going Danny Jansen, the
I
guy
didn't
who even knows how
I
long he's
didn't
going to
give a
be in the
cutoff that
MLB.
I didn't give it a cutoff that where it had to be low owned. I just said home run call.
I got you, and you're going to feel silly when Danny Jansen bombs and Wilson Contreras.
I've always liked Danny Jansen. A, because he wears the glasses. B, because it
Oh, it
reminds
looks
me.
so good.
Yeah, it reminds me of Danny Phantom, which I like. But
Danny Jansen was the guy last year that shaved his mustache mid game, wasn't he?
I believe so. Yes, I do think that happened.
I mean, if that doesn't give you a reason to play a guy, I got nothing for you then.
Exactly. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out all of our free content, dfscomer.com. Bales and I both have articles up for today. If you pick up a package, you'll be able to view my final thoughts. You'll get access to our core plays. Anthony had a huge night on FanDuel again last night, which made up for my lackluster day. I did cash both basketball slates yesterday. Basketball today is looking good as well, so there's still a couple weeks of basketball left. Go ahead and check that out. And with that being said, we'll see you guys tomorrow.